I'm gonna talk a little bit about the four or five elements, depending on which system you take, and how they influence your body and like your day-to-day life. Just a quick overview. So, starting off from the ground up, from the most dense element and then going upwards towards the lesser densities of elements. It goes earth, and then goes water, and then air, and then fire. And ether, if you look at a five element system, ether is the thing that has everything all at once, grabbed, interconnected with one another. So from like a herbalist perspective, when you look at a plant that you can compare to a human afterwards, when you look at a plant, earth within a plant are the roots that are underground, and they are there to take nourishment from the ground, and they are related to the minerals, the mineral kingdom. And minerals are very like one of the densest physical things on earth, like in existence. Next thing is water. So water within a plant is the stem, or water in a tree is the trunk, the big thing in the middle of the tree, which takes the nutrients from the ground and flows them. It flows them upward to all the areas of the tree. So like a plant stem or a trunk. Then it's air. So air are the leaves. The leaves are kind of this airy quality of a plant that communicates with CO2 and with oxygen. And you can kind of see that, so that the earth is planted, the roots are planted down. The water element is like the flow of the nutrients upwards and from the air downwards to the ground again. The air are the leaves, and the leaves are kind of wavy, so it's all kind of interrelated. It's like signatures, like air, and yeah. And then the last thing, or second to last thing, is fire. And inside of a plant, the fire element is the flower. So it goes upward and it expands, and you can kind of see that the flower is kind of like the biggest expression of a plant. It's very colorful, it's very passionate, it's very, and it's upward and out. So the last element in some systems is ether, also called the quintessence, and in plants it is the seed or the fruit. And what that means, because ether is quintessence, it has this essence within it. So the seed of the plant has has within itself like the codes for another one. Like the seed has in itself the whole structure that is needed for another plant to come to life, or another human, or another animal. So this is important in a few ways to humans, related to humans. Is first, like, in a way that the life force binds to these elements. So Earth, the life force is yin, it's down and inside. So if you try to feel your Earth within yourself, it's best if you kind of feel your gravity center, if you feel like it's going in and down. Water is next in line, and it's very, very similar. It's just that it's not only down, it's like slightly down, but left and right in the same time, like wavy. And those two are yin, and then the air and fire are yang, which means they go towards the sky, they go upward, and they expand. So fire would be straight up and like that, and air is similar, like water towards the floor. It's just upward and kind of either spirally or wavy or any movement like that. So how can that be practical within humans? So within humans, like physiologically, your earth are the most dense parts of your body. So your earth are your bones. Your bones are the densest part. After that, it's like tendons and cartilage. And your earth is your anchor. Your earth is like your density that's binding you to this 3D plane. After that, you have water. So because it's earth, and then water, and then air, water is like a mediator between the earth and the air element. So water is basically the fluids and the mucous membranes in your body that are like a mediator between the earth and the air element. So it's like the lining of your lungs from inside, the wet part of your lungs, the wet parts of your digestive system, the wet parts of your respiratory system, reproductive system, any place where it's like a bridge between air and earth. Within the human body as well, the water element are our emotions. So the air element is the respiratory system, and it's also our thinking. The fire is the cardiovascular system, the veins, the blood, also the adrenaline glands, and also the fire that rules the digestive system. So not to go too far on each of them, so to come back a little bit. So earth is, so okay, let's say like this. So any element is here to do its thing in the grand scheme of things. But depending on your constitution, depending on your choices you make in life, depending on a lot of things you actually do and what you are and your environment, some of them can be either in excess, or they can be, or you can kind of lack a certain element in a way. A better way to say it, they can be thrown off balance. So each of them has its own thing that it needs to do. So earth is here, like, okay, let's connect earth and water first. So earth and water have this relationship, like earth is the bucket, and water is the water inside the bucket. So if you have an excess of water and there is no bucket, you are only water and it goes left and right and it's just water, it's just emotions going and there's nothing to hold them. There's nothing to have them have like a safe place to express themselves. One of the best, let's say, representations of this relationship is like pure, like the simplest masculine feminine dynamic, where water, in this sense, the emotions are the feminine, and earth, the bucket, is the masculine. So it would be like the masculine is holding space, holding safe space for the feminine to flow left and right, knowing that she is safe in that container. I'm not saying this in like a pure, like the man is the bucket and the woman is the water. It's like just within us, all of us, we have a masculine and feminine energy, yin and yang, and all those good things. So that's like the main, and then you have the bucket, which if it's just the bucket, it's just the bucket. It's not like there's nothing. It's very dry. It's very uninteresting, and there's nothing happening, and it's just sitting there, and it's like I'm an empty bucket. It's a good bucket, but it's not. There's nothing happening in it. So that's like a little balance between these two elements. And then there's a balance between air and fire. So fire needs oxygen to burn. Maybe I'm getting too much ahead, but okay, if I've done these two, let's do the other two. So air is breathing, of course, but it's also thinking and communication. So because air is both thinking and the breath, it's very crucial that if you engage in any activity that requires a lot of thinking, you need to compensate with enough oxygen to get that oxygen in your head in order for things to go freely and smoothly. And then if you connect, so the fire would be the focus. The fire would be the intense, focused gaze or passion or intent for action that also requires oxygen to burn. Like fire needs oxygen to continue burning. So then you have this relationship like you had between earth and water. You have that same relationship between air and fire, which is last above air, where if you engage in a fiery activity, which can also be like cardio, like if you do a lot of cardio, if you're not breathing enough to compensate for the level of cardio you're doing, you're just gonna run out of breath, you can't sustain it. You need the oxygen from the air element to sustain the fire element in whatever you're trying to do. Even if you try to just look at like an intense movie, or if you're trying to really focusly stare at something, you're gonna find that you need to breathe more because you're lasering in on something. And now each separate element has its healthy expression and it has its overly intense expression and lackey expression, for lack of a better word. So you can be deficient in the earth element and you can be too earthy. You can be deficient in water and you can be too watery, too flexible. Same as air, same as fire. there are two main approaches in herbalism and the element philosophy, I guess, and practice. How you can remedy this balance. So one of them is to, let's say if you have a overabundance of fire and it's too much, you have two options, two best options, I guess. One of them is to counterbalance it with, let's say, a water element, or ground it with the earth element. And the other one is even more fire, but in a healthier way. So what that means is every element, either within humans or within plants or within animals, like in nature, is trying to find the best possible way to have a healthy expression towards, yeah, just a healthy expression. So let's go into an example with earth. Let's go into concrete examples. So a healthy expression of earth would be a very practical one, a very stable one, a very logical one, a very like safe, like anchored, like also very healthy, also very action driven as well. And if you take earth, like any of these elements, there is a shadow side, and a shadow side can be, like I said, it can be either too much of it or not enough of it, in a sense of balance. So too much of earth is stubborn. Too much of earth is, I'm not gonna move for anyone, and there's no real reason for it. It's just unflexible. So it's the bucket with nothing that's gonna move the bucket. Bucket. And not enough earth is like you don't have bones. It's like no spine. It's like no grounding, nothing to anchor you. And then you get way, like, it's like a leaf in the wind. You can just get blown left and right. And then water, like not enough water is like too much earth. So not enough water is just not enough fluidity within the body, which means not enough fluidity to meet outside circumstances. If like your water element is really balanced, it means that your emotions won't go too high, they won't go too low. And when you meet outside influence that rocks the boat a little bit, that makes your ocean turbulent, you will have just enough of it and you can just ground it. If you have too much water though, if your water element is in excess, like physically in the body, it can mean water retention, and water is memory, water is emotions. So too much water and water retention in the body is like holding on to past emotions and holding on maybe to memories you can't digest, you can't move on. And too much water is, like I mentioned, it's just water and no bucket. It's just going left and right, and it's too fluid, and you can feel an emotion and it just blows you to one side, and then you feel another emotion and blows you to the other side. And then air is thinking, air is communication, air is sound, air is breathing. So oxygen is amazing, but like anything in nature, anything in medicine, in natural medicine, any element that is here to help you, if you abuse it, if you get too much of it, it becomes a poison. So oxygen is amazing, but if you take too much oxygen, you're out, you're a balloon. Goodbye, Earth. No anchor, goodbye. And then, I speak from experience. And then, not enough air is like, yeah, you don't breathe enough. You don't have inspiration, because breathing and air are inspiration. There's not enough communication going to the outside world and to yourself. Also, excess of air is too much communication. So, you know how when people talk a lot and then, oh, let me catch my breath, or let me get some, let me get some air. It's the thing. It's that thing. And then we have fire. Fire is the awareness. Fire is the passion. Fire is digesting information, like digesting food as well, but digestion in general. Digesting whatever comes to you in life. And it's also transformation. It's like Phoenix. Like you have to burn out, you have to burn off old stuff in order for new stuff to be. And also, like, fire is the most volatile, the most dynamic element, the most yang, the most upward and out. And then too much fire, and it's like you just burn out, like the name implies. And too little fire, you can become very, you lack drive, you lack, like, all these elements. When if you take, for example, fire, and if you lack fire, there's most probably all the other elements are in excess. So if you lack fire, that means you are too much of earth, too much of water. So that means you're too much in one place. Yeah, sorry, something happened here. Fire is also movement. So too much fire is, lack of fire is too much earth and too much water. So like a lack of fire is a swamp, and too much fire is a desert. And what you're trying to achieve is like middle type Mediterranean climate, where you have basically all the attributes of the plant. The roots are there, there's enough nourishment for them, the stem is there, the leaves are there, the flower is there. There's nothing, like, it's perfect balance. Also, you can see a relationship between the fire element that requires grounding, because the fire element and the air element alone, without the grounding, is a hot air balloon. Just imagine like fire and air, and it's up It's just up. It doesn't have an anchor. You can feel like that. You can feel like you're pursuing this vision, this intensity of the outside, of the mental realms, because air is intellectual, air is, you know the saying, on the air of radio. So if you're predominantly in the air element, you start to become like like an antenna for all the things around you, and you just absorb it. And if you don't ground that, it's just like you're very airy. You're not here. You're somewhere. So that's like some of the relationships between them. Like fire is the highest, is the most volatile of all elements, and it's from earth, water, air, fire. It's very far from earth. So you use fire, you have to be grounded, because look at this. So you use a lot of fire. What do you need to use a lot of fire? You need to breathe a lot. You need a lot of oxygen. And what happens to the body when you breathe a lot? It gets electric. Your body's electrical charge gets increased, and then you have to have a grounding for that electrical charge. Okay, so some of the ways that could be practical for either the excess or the lack of a certain element that you can use daily, or you can mix them up and make like a morning routine where you just go through all these elements. So earth is bones within the body. So a good thing would be, upon waking up, because like the majority sleeps in a bed, where when you sleep in a bed you can't feel your bones. When you wake up in the morning, or whenever you don't feel grounded, lay down on your floor or on any hard surface, and lay down in such a way that you can feel your bones, bare bones, on the hard surface in as many points as you can. And then you can just roll around or whatever. Or you can take, I use this thing like a ring, like a wooden bamboo ring, or just a piece of wood. It's like Shaolin stuff. And then just go and like bang on your elbows a little bit, bang like on your knuckles a little bit, on your knees, on like these bones that kind of you can feel them above your hips. You can do that on the collarbones. It's just don't hurt yourself. Like it's just just small hits. Or you can do it like knuckle to knuckle with your fists, stuff like that. And then just feel the weight, like feel how dense the bones are. Then stand up and try to feel the weight, the gravity that pulls those bones down into the earth, because earth element is down and in, and it's very much connected to gravity. So just feel it pulling you down. The big thing about the earth element is actually your relationship with the earth, but not in some esoteric, like unexplainable, impractical way, but like literally your relationship to gravity, your relationship to the floor. Then you can go left and right a little bit, stand on one leg, stand on the other, just to feel the pull, feel your weight. And that could be good for the earth element. The water element is, so for earth, it's when you're deficient. It's when when you feel ungrounded, then do these things. But if you feel that you're too stuck, that you are very stubborn, that you can't change your ways, that you're stuck in the same place, that you're very heavy in whatever way, that you're heavy in your body, heavy in your thinking, then you need all the other elements. You need to use them, because an excess of one element means the others are deficient. So too much earth means that you either need to be more fluid, you need to be more airy, or you need to be more fiery, or all of the above. So if it's too much earth, then just go one scale up, which is water. If you don't have enough water, any type of fluid movement is going to help you. So any type of like Tai Chi or Qigong or like yoga or like dancing, like slow movement where you try to imitate either, you can imagine like either like a huge whale that's just like he's turning in the ocean, or whatever, or like a turtle. Like I love turtles. Like imagine a turtle, like they love to get on this current and just go with the current, and then maybe just play some music, some slow flowy music, and then just like swim through the air. Get all your joints slowly moving, like roll your head around, get your spine, like spinal fluid, think spinal fluid, think like snake, think. That's like movement wise. Also, you can relate it to just basically how much fluids are you taking in. Like if your water element is stuck, it's a good thing to get new fluid inside your body, which is more like cleansing fluid. So think of fruit juice, and think of maybe herbal tea, stuff like that, or soups, or anything. Just, it's like pretty logical to go to compensate with liquids in that way. And then, of course, on the other hand, if the water element is in excess, if you feel too flexible, if you feel like you're agreeing with everyone, you're just going with everything that's happening and you don't like it, you feel like you're just being like moved around, and you just want to stay and say, this is me, stuff like this, then again, look at, maybe you need more earth, maybe you need more air, maybe you need more fire, and then compensate with those elements. Next one up is air. So if you lack air, I would suggest just breath work. Just look up Wim Hof, or look up just boxed breathing, or look up like alternate nostril stuff breathing, or like breath locks, and there's like really a lot of different breath work types. But also just fresh air, a little change of pace, change of scenery, just going out in nature just for a walk to clear your mind. Also, air element is inspiration, so maybe go to that one channel or go to that one page that inspires you. Also communication, maybe you need to speak more, maybe you feel you need to be heard, maybe talk to a friend. But let's say physiologically, especially air, just too much of it, not enough of it, is also, again, too much of other elements. It means too much fire, too much water, too much earth. Then try to, in that sense, if you feel you don't have enough air, say yourself, okay, maybe this is too much fire. Okay, I'm not going to burn myself out. then secondly, maybe I should put my emotions aside for a second. That's water. And earth, maybe I can change my ways if I allow myself to. And change my current physical environment. And then just put aside 10 to 15 minutes of just saying, okay, I'm going to nourish my air element for a little bit. And then dedicate those 15 minutes or however long you want to breathing, just and think this is air, this is my air element. Excess of air can be too much talking. It can be too much thinking. Air is breathing and intellect as well. So too much air could mean that you are too much in your head. You are wasting, not wasting. Okay, that's not a good word, but in this sense. But you spend a lot of time in the words, in the images, in the concepts, and the brain spends so much life force. The brain sucks your life force out of you, burns calories, burns your air. It burns your air. You need it. So in a sense, if you are working on something, on an intellectual project, or you're talking to someone and you're trying to focus really hard, you're trying to think, and you feel you're stuck, you feel it's draining your energy, just get off the desk, tell the friend, I need 10 minutes, need 15 minutes, let's just take a breath and just breathe for 10 to 15 minutes and just wait, and you would be amazed, you can just, because breath is inspiration, it's all it is. I mean, not all it is, but it's one big thing with the breath. And then also, yeah, like I've said earlier, if you feel you're too airy, you have too much of the air element, it means all the other ones, so earth, water, or fire, are lacking. So too much air, too much time in your head, too much breathe, you've been breathing too much, hyperventilating, anxiety, fight or flight, then go to earth, and then again go to water. So earth and water are yin, and air and fire are yang. So you can either contrast yang with yin to calm yourself down, or contrast yin with yang to kind of go more outwardly. You're being too stuck, and then you use the other elements to get yourself going. Or you use the same element but in a healthier way. So any problem you have with earth could be resolved with maybe air or fire, but it could be also resolved in more earth, but in a better way. Or too much fire, you're passionate about something, but you're too fiery in your expression with people where you shouldn't be, or you're too, angry and frustrated, and lashing out the fire onto people that don't have anything to do with it. In that case, in that case of that fire, you can either contrast it with some water element, or you can go even further in that fire and go exercise and go for a run and go for an intense something of to increase that fire even further, but channel it in a way that's healthy, so the life force expresses itself in a healthier way, and then you're fine, and then you're okay, this needed to happen, and it happened in a good way. And that brings me to fire. So the practical with water was movement, this was breathing. So fire, if you're lacking fire, I'd say cardio is always a good thing, getting your blood moving, because most of the time, especially when you wake up, you've been without fire for the last 8 hours, you were in a lying position and no fire, and then straight out of bed, some cardio is good for the fire element. But it doesn't have to be when you get out of bed. It can be any time throughout your day, throughout your life. If you feel like maybe a little bit cold, a little bit unmotivated, some cardio with no intent will get you going. Because like, remember that people, we like, as humans, we don't always have momentum. We need to sometimes build up that momentum to get us going. And in that case, you can use cardio. Again, you can use anything, because fire element is connected to the heart. It's also connected to passion. So if you lack the fire element, maybe try to remember what was your passion long ago. Like, what were you passionate about when you were a child? Maybe take up something that's just playful. Maybe take up something that's just nurturing for your inner child, something that's doesn't have to do with discipline. It's just play. And then maybe out of that play, you remind yourself like, yeah, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a martial artist. I wanted to be a fighter. I wanted to be, and then from that, it just springs forward. The fire it starts as a little spark. You come and you say, let's go jogging for 5 minutes. Let's just go run around the block. And that run around the block will kickstart your fire element. It will be like a small match. And then if you do that now, 15-20 minutes after that, you're gonna feel that momentum. You can pair the fire element with the air element and use breathing with that thing you're doing to get more oxygen to your fire, because fire needs oxygen to burn. And then you got a bigger flame, but then again, watch out, don't go too high. You have to ground that, and you have to do it fluidly so you have all the elements. And then, of course, if you have an excess of fire, that just means that all the other elements are in lack. So if you have too much fire, think, oh, am I grounded enough? Okay, I have too much fire, but am I fluid? Am I flexible? Am I water as well? Or I have too much fire, but I'm starting to burn out. Okay, maybe I need to slow the breathing down. Maybe the fire needs not, like, there's different kinds of fire. You have firecrackers, you have fireworks, but you also have lava. Like, I love magma, I love lava. Lava is like fire and water and earth at the same time. It's like slow, and it burns everything in its path. You can't stop it. It just goes and goes, and like, that's like a fiery turtle is like a fire, or a fiery turtle, like a lava turtle. Lava turtle is maybe my best go-to when I think of how can I combine all the elements. I think of lava. I think of, okay, I need to kickstart my fire at the start of the day. I need to ground myself, and I need to be fluid, and it needs to just keep on moving. Just keep on moving, just keep going, but slowly. So you're not gonna stay in one place. You're not gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna, like lava, just like water, you know, like Bruce Lee says, like become the teapot and all those things. So these are all kind of things about the elements. So like a good practice, I would say, when you wake up, is try to feel your bones. Try to feel the weight of your bones, contrary to that go inside the earth. Like your heaviness goes down. That would be earth. Do some fluid motions, like really slow fluid motions. Try to maybe close your eyes and think, imagine like you're swimming. Imagine that this hand that you're moving, or this leg that you're moving, or this head, or your spine, it's like you're within water, and it's a bit difficult to move, but it's really going slowly and flowy. And then you go to air, do some breathing, like any type of breathing exercise, any breath work. There's really loads of them online. And then when you got that down, go a little bit into the cardio, like move your body to get the blood flowing. And then when you have them all, then go in the fiery focus of like the heart and the head all together with the body. Like ask the heart part of the fire, like what would I enjoy, like what would my inner child enjoy right now, but maybe also what is my vision, what is my focus, what is my intent, what is my passion. Yeah, maybe that's a good practice for everyone. So yeah, if anyone is interested in like guided meditations about elements, or like one-on-one analysis about your personal life and the elements within your life, and human design, as I did in the last video, I can really be of help. There's a link in the bio to book sessions. And yeah, thanks for listening. I hope this helps someone, and see you next time.